All right, James St. Clair here from 509 Flies and Red's Fly Shop, and today we are going to tie the old classic mosquito pattern. We got a size 14 dry fly, just standard dry fly hook in the vise. The tail is going to be just a grizzly hackle barbs from a feather I just pulled off of a old cape. Just rooster cape, so that there's no webbing. It's nice and fine for flotation. Body's gonna be moose mane from Nature's Spirit. We're gonna use one light and one dark. Wings are just gonna be hackle tips from a grizzly hen cape. So a couple of these feathers up in this area. And lastly, the hackle is just going to be grizzly from Whiting Farms. So this is a silver grizzly midge half saddle. Got from Fly Fish Food. Any grizzly hackle is fine. Doesn't matter. Just needs to be a dry fly hackle. So anyways, all right, we're going to get to tying this thing. I'm going to put on my readers here because I'm getting old. Okay, oh yeah, and the thread, 12-aught Vivus in black. I usually would use 14 for this size 14 hooks, 14-aught thread, but you can see I'm almost out and I don't want to run out. I know that's enough for a couple flies, but anyways, this is a classic pattern. I don't know how long it's been around, but it's been around for quite some time, and I remember it from kind of like when I first started tying flies when I was 12 years old back in the early 90s. You could find these in fly shops. This is kind of part of my I've been doing some throwback flies because it's just number one, I like kind of tying the classics, kind of where we've come from as a group of fly tiers. There's not a lot new under the sun when it comes to fly tying, so it's kind of fun to tie the stuff that kind of like our heritage, our fly tying heritage. But also, I mean, at some point these flies had to work pretty well, right? Otherwise they wouldn't have been in fly shops, wouldn't have been books. This one I got out of this pattern recipe that I'm using is out of the Randle Scott. The heck is his last name? Stetzer. Randle Scott Stetzer. I think he used to work at Kaufman's with Randall Kaufman. Anyways, his book's called Flies, the Best 1000. So, anyways, alright, I stripped off a few hackle barbs here from a grizzly, that grizzly feather from the rooster neck. We're going to measure it about the hook length. Just slide it back. I like to take a couple. Might have to even do a pinch wrap here. I just want to try and keep these on top of the hook. Just do a couple loose wraps, make sure it's the length I want, and then I like to try and make sure I get the fibers on top of the hook shank and that they're angled correctly. So I'm just kind of manipulating here with my thumb and forefinger. All right, that looks pretty good. Then we tight wraps. Tight wraps, and we're going to go all the way up to the front of the hook just to kind of build a thread base. Basically what we don't want, because I don't know if you saw, but the ends of the barbs only went here. So if I stop there and then tie the moose mane in, we're going to have like this bump here at the back, and then when we wrap the moose mane, it's going to end up being like a reverse taper, which is not what we're looking for. We're looking for regular taper moving forward. Okay, I'm just twisting my thread here every so often so it doesn't turn into like a spun up thread. We want it flat when we're making these, helping to make the tapers. Okay, so we got our tail in there. I'd already selected a light and a dark moose mane fiber, moose mane hairs, whatever. Just going to even these up real quick. All right, we're back up at the front. We're going to tie these in. I like to tie these in on the far side of the hook. Be closest to the camera, so kind of opposite, but far side from yourself if you're tying. That way I can see when I get back to the tail here. Twist my thread one more time. I can actually see that I'm wrapping right next to that last thread wrap, right next to the tail there. Okay, then we're going to advance our thread up. So one thing I like to do with these kind of older flies, older patterns, is use some newer, I guess, materials or techniques that we have. I don't want to build up too big of a thing right there. So I'm actually going to super glue underneath these because I want them to be as durable as possible. So I'm just adding just a tiny bit here. And when I wrap, it'll spread it around. Just Loctite brush on super glue. Okay, you could do a little half hitch here and use the rotary feature if you wanted to, but since I'm using 12-aught thread, that's just going to add extra thread wraps. So I'm just going to wind them by hand. Okay, and we want them close together and touching wraps. Let's see here. Light and the dark don't want to stay together. There we go, that's a little better. Okay, and we're trying not to allow thread to show through, but you know, back here where they're kind of skinny, you might get a little thread. Not a big deal. The black, we're using black thread. The dark moose mane fiber is almost black, so you're still going to get that segmentation moving up, moving forward. Okay. And it's okay to go a little bit further. So I usually do like one extra, like this is one too many wraps, but what I'm going to do is end up wrapping back over that, which is fine. Okay, so we got those in. I wrap those all the way up to the eye just to kind of keep it so there's not like a huge slope here at the end. Okay, and then same thing, like I said, so with the super glue, you know, you could totally leave it, no big deal, but I'm also going to coat this with some UV resin just to even add more to the durability. I don't lose a ton of flies anymore, so like the flies I have, I want to be able to catch multiple fish on them and not have anything fall apart. So I'm just coating this thing basically for just durability. I don't know if anyone's ever gotten into an actual mosquito hatch. I was trying to do like a little bit of research on this fly. I don't know who invented it. I know there's a couple other versions that I'm going to do next, but I mean, the body does, if you look at a mosquito, they are pretty black and white stripe, but again, I don't know if anyone's ever gotten into like an actual mosquito hatch. I did read one article from a guy, can't remember the name of the magazine, Fish and Game or something. Not like a State Department of Fish and Game, just like magazine. Anyways, he was saying he remembered when he was 12, like got into a mosquito hatch on like a brook trout pond, and they were laying their eggs, and he was just hammering the fish. So Anyways, I think it's a cool pattern, and if you're fishing lakes anyways, this could totally pass as a Callibaeits. So, okay, what else did I do? All right, hackle tips. Okay, so I'd already prepared these. Basically, we have two grizzly hackle tips matched up, and you want them so they're curving away from each other. So basically, both dull ends will be facing on the outside. Okay, we got them matched up here pretty good. Okay, and we're going to measure them. So from the front of the hook, I like to go basically just the length of the body, not all the way to the hook band. That gets them a little tall. So just to the end of the body there, and then I move the whole thing back because I want to tie these in about in the middle of where we're going to have our hackle kind of thorax area. So I just plop these on top here, pinch wrap all the way up. I'm trying to show you this. Going up, and then I'm going to pull straight down. Oh, they rolled on me. That's okay. Put them right back up top there before even looking. I knew those were going to roll. Okay, couple tight wraps. All right, that looks pretty good. From there. Okay. These are going to end up being upright like this. Okay. And I didn't strip quite enough fibers, so we're just going to clean off these couple that we ended up binding down. Okay, so I said the middle. That looks a little bit further back, but remember I'm going to wrap back a little bit over this body when I tie the hackle in, so. Okay, we want to wrap over those almost all the way up to the front, over the stems. Again, just to kind of make it so that the front thorax area is even for when we wrap the hackle. Okay. So yeah, if you've ever gotten into a mosquito hatch where the fish are actually keyed in on these adults, I would absolutely love to hear about it. So a couple wraps in front, a couple wraps behind. Clip off that little tiny, I'll probably wrap over that anyways, but clip off that tiny little bit. Okay, so we're going to wrap, right back into that area. Now you can see they're right about in the middle. Okay, and then just before we get our hackle tied in, I like to do just a couple figure eights. So I'm going to go forward through the middle. Okay, and we're going to go backwards through the middle. Okay. And then you don't want to split them too much. Okay, and then we're going to do that one more time. And that's it. You don't need to wrap around the base or anything. Okay. And these things aren't super, they're a little flimsy, so you can kind of, that's just to keep them separated. Okay, it looks good, and I'm going to kind of just, like I said, you can manipulate these, so I'm just going to kind of push them forward so we can tie our hackle in. All right, and I already got a hackle prepared here. So I like to have, I don't know if you can see that, but I leave a few fibers down here, but I strip off a little higher so your first couple wraps aren't splaying hackles everywhere. Okay, and then we're going to tie this in. There we go. That's a little more. Tie this in and wrap back to kind of our last point there. Okay, and before I go crazy, I like to bend this forward a little bit and then take a wrap or two to make sure that it's going to wrap the correct way, which it looks like that will be great. Okay, So we're going to wrap all the way. We'll pull these back just a little bit, wrap under, and we're going to capture that stem almost all the way up to the eye. Again, we're just trying to keep the thorax relatively even so there's not a huge slope on it. So cover up that stem. Okay, and then one thing I like to do on these, I'm going to unspin my thread here real quick. So one thing I like to do is bring my thread right back in front here. So when you wrap your hackle forward, the thread's kind of helping to keep the hackle wraps right next to each other. You could even go all the way back, but with the wings there, it's not a big deal. Usually you don't have as big of an issue at the start. It's more at the end. Okay, so touching wraps. Bend these a little bit forward here so I can see right where I want to lay these wraps. Okay. Okay, and here I want to kind of start, I know this is not a soft hackle, but I like to start kind of stroking it back. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera there. Start kind of stroking them back so that the fibers stay mostly in one direction. You're going to see a couple here. See, like those couple wanted to come out. There we go. You're just trying to do touching wraps with this hackle here, as close as you can get it to the previous wrap. We're going to go almost all the way up to the eye. That's probably good right there. I got a couple strays here and there. Okay, so last little step here. This is totally optional, but I've been grabbing these last few fibers and just stripping them off. So when you tie this in, you're tying a bare stem in instead of tying over hackle fibers, because those will splay them every which way as well. Okay, so now you can see when I wrap, there might be one or two left, but we can pull those out with a tweezer as well. Okay, so we catch it with one wrap. Take like 3 tight wraps. Take a wrap in front of it, just to kind of lock it in place. All right, then we're going to snip that off. Grabbed a couple extra, 2 with the scissors. It's okay. Okay, and last thing, I'm kind of make a nice clean head. Okay, so we got a nice clean spot there, and then I always like to do 2. Oops, let's see here, sorry. I like to do personally get 2 whip finishes in there. So that's 1 3-wrap whip finish. We're going to do 1 more 3-wrap whip finish. Okay, eyes clean. Got a little thread bump there. And pop our thread off. Okay, that's looking good. Last step. We're just going to add some UV resin to the thread wraps up front there just to protect it. Okay. Alright, that looks good. Got a little resin on that hackle there. Okay. Alright, I know this hackle looks a little funky right now, but we're going to fix that here in a second. So a lot of these feathers you can kind of manipulate while you're tying to make it easier to tie. But it'll look better at the end if you just fluff them out a little bit. Okay, make sure your hackle tips are nice and the way you want them. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so that's the finished mosquito. Again, if anyone's had any success or stories about this pattern or done well with it, even if it wasn't for mosquito, love to hear about it. If you have any interesting history, would love to hear about that as well. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions and if there's anything else you'd like to see. Okay, thanks.